Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Paul Reed. I'm a professional photographer. Before we even get going, I'm just going to say how privileged I feel to be published in Lens Journal. So Lens Journal is, it's just so well printed, and it's featuring the Time Traveller this month. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to Lens Journal if you want to try and pick up a copy of that, but they are in very limited supply. Last week I was talking all about street photography, and I was also just saying about the three types of photography which I specialise in, which is street photography, portrait photography, and also fine art photography. Now, when I said I specialise in those things, it sounds like, well, how on earth can you specialise in three different types of photography? A specialist is usually straight down the middle on one type of photography. For me, it's the monochrome aspect which I specialise in really. This week what I'm going to show you is a whole bunch of the portrait photography that I've done. Now, a lot of this portrait photography isn't pre-arranged, it's on the streets or wherever I am, where I see somebody that I just really want to take their photograph. Something I feel connects me to that subject, and then I'll pluck up the courage and actually ask them if they would pose for me. Now, if you watched last week's video, then you would have saw that my street photography really is what I would call character-driven street photography. So it's not so much all about the geometric lines or anything like that. You'll notice that it's always really concentrating on the characters, their expressions, what's going on with them. And really, that's just my love for street photography, is all about the people. Portraits aren't just about the person that you're taking the portrait of. It's sometimes as much about you as the photographer as it is about them as the subject, because it's the connection between you and them that can really shine through in the photography. Of course, it can be nerve-wracking to ask a complete stranger for a portrait, but whenever I do ask people, I always look at that person and think, I'm never going to see that person again, and I could just let this chance just go by and not ask them just because of my own nervousness, or I really seize that moment and ask that person to pose for a portrait. 9 times out of 10 they always say yes. There have been times where I've let that opportunity slip and just let that person go, and I've learned from those times, because all as I've done is regretted it. I've been kicking myself just thinking, why didn't I just pluck up the courage and ask that person to pose for that portrait? Simon Murphy, who is a great portrait photographer, he said something to me once which really stuck with me, and it was, rather than saying, can I take your portrait or can I take your picture, to actually tell them that you would love to take their portrait. That way it's not a question that they would say no to, but you're actually stating that it's something that you really want to do. That really did stick with me, and I've done that ever since, and I have noticed that even that takes a lot of the question out of why you want to take the portrait, because you've already said why you want to take the portrait. It's because you'd love to. Of course, they're still going to ask you what you're going to be using it for and things like that, and I've got a little technique for that. I just produce a card that says the portrait project on it and basically hand that to them and say I'm doing a portrait project. That just takes away a lot of that questioning, and they're happy to pose after that. But why monochrome portraits rather than colour? I see a lot of great colour portraits. Black and white portraits, it really is all about the person. It's not about their clothes, it's not about the colours and things like that. There's just no distraction there at all, and it's just all about that person. You haven't got the luxury of other objects and things to really make it a great photograph. It really is all about the person themselves. Of course, the subject themselves have to be compelling. There's some people who, you know, you could take a portrait of them and it wouldn't make a compelling portrait just because of how they look or who they are. I know that sounds terrible, but some portraits are just more compelling than others just simply by the way somebody looks. You can't beat a timeless subject with monochrome photography. Monochrome photography is pretty timeless anyway, and colours, you know, they're basically, the colour grading changes from year to year, certainly from decade to decade. You can kind of tell when a photograph was taken just almost by the colour grading, but with monochrome photography it kind of always seems timeless. I'm going to be in London this week and I'm so excited that I'm going to be concentrating mainly on street portraits, even more so than the street photography. But all of my photography is definitely just people related. It's my connection that I feel with people in general. So even the street photography, if I do some, it'll be all about the people. I've got some street portrait workshops available. I've actually got one on this week that's got a couple of places left, but I've also got one in Edinburgh as well next month. So it would be great to build your confidence by coming on one of those workshops. Here's the dates of all the other London workshops this year. I'm really excited about doing all of these workshops. It's just great meeting people, like-minded people who are just into street photography, and we just have an amazing time. There's also street photography dates in Manchester and Glasgow, and then if you can't make any of those, then why not just come on one of my online workshops? I'll leave a link in the description so you can look at all of the dates. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with a whole bunch more of portraits, some street portraits, portraits of people that I know. I do love taking pictures of people that I know too, and I don't just do that just for practice. I do it because obviously I've got like a personal connection to those people, and I just love taking their portraits too. But my advice is to really take pictures of the people that you know too, because that can be really rewarding and really good for, you know, your friends and family, that they've got a portrait taken by you.
Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, cause all we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you, because now I see we were meant to be. I need you. Take me back to when we were kids and didn't care if we were acting stupid, cause all we had was us. If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to go.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and all of that sort of thing, because it really helps these videos go in front of the right viewers. I'll see you next time.